yes, problems arise in life, right? Like you're human. That's just
Right.
part of the journey. That's part of the process. But
Yeah.
how you decide to look at them, how
Yeah.
you decide to peel back those layers to
Yeah.
figure out what the pivot is
Mm.
or to change your perspective and realize, again, almost just like fear and danger, that this is something that we can navigate. This is something that we can get through. We just maybe need to take a beat,
Mm-hmm.
be more strategic,
Yeah.
understand what motivation is needed, what communication is needed. There's always other ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to feel the feelings, and then you gotta pivot.
Hello, and welcome to the Leadership Reality Podcast with your girl, Ty G. Charity. This podcast is for C-suite leaders to discuss their experiences and provide insight, encouragement, and inspiration for seasoned and inspiring leaders, offering valuable solutions to today's challenges that will inspire, ignite, and invigorate new and seasoned leaders to walk in their God-given authority with compassion, kindness, and empathy. So sit back, relax, and be prepared to be inspired with today's episode of Leadership Reality. Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Leadership Realities with me, Ty G. Charity. Today's guest is one of the coolest leaders in the entertainment industry, Mr. Xavier Byers. Xavier, who is originally from Augusta, Georgia, graduated with a degree in business administration from none other than Morehouse College. He began his career as a finance intern at Turner Broadcasting, supporting CNN, Cartoon Network, and Adult Swim. In 2014, Xavier accepted a position with Warner Brothers and moved to Los Angeles, California, where he became active with the Black Employee Professional Group that he chaired for 3 years and successfully curated diversity and inclusion events and supported film and television projects with C-suite leaders. Currently, Xavier is a production finance executive at none other than Netflix, overseeing a wide range of film budgets and serving on the Studio Finance DEI Council. He is passionate about collaborative opportunities and dedicated to advancing culture and enhancing creative content. Y'all, welcome to the show. My friend Xavier. Brother got swag, y'all, okay?
I'm glad to be in the building. Glad to be in the building.
Yay,
Yeah.
thank you
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me. I appreciate it.
I was thinking back when we first met because you were at Warner Brothers at the time and you were part of the Black Employee Network, and y'all were looking for a nonprofit to partner with.
Yeah.
And I got invited to the table and I walked in the conference room and there you were. That's Xavier. And it's so funny because one of the first things you said was, yeah, I saw you on The Real. And I was like, oh, no.
That's a throwback right
Right,
there.
that's a throwback. For those who don't know, I did one of those. They had leader makeovers for busy professionals, and I got selected. But anyway, I'm so happy that you're here. I just love just watching your journey.
Thank you.
I know I almost passed out when they said you were leaving that Warner Brothers. I was like, no. But it's like, but he's going to Netflix. I was like, oh, yeah.
It's a journey. It's a journey. We pushing forward.
Talk about that.
You know what's so funny? Like I was reflecting over the holidays, and what I realized is sometimes you don't know where the path is going, but your steps are just ordered.
Absolutely.
And so taking those moments, I think since we're here talking about leadership, one of the biggest things is being able to like take that step back and just hear your inner voice, right? And so reflection time for me is over the holiday break, which is, Christmas, going into New Year's.
And the entertainment industry
kind of slows down, kind of stops. We
Everybody
call
goes
it
hiatus.
hiatus. And I go back to Atlanta and I'm just with the family catching up on life. And same thing happened when I made that move from Warner Brothers to Netflix. Those other voices, that gut just kind of starts talking to you and it's like, hey, this is the plan. This is where you need to move. This is where you need to go.
Yeah.
And for me, it was about gaining certain experiences so that when it's go time for the culture, I'd be prepared. And so that was one of those moments.
Let me go time for you. Got me
time,
drinking
right?
already. Hold on.
When Taji and kids in the spotlight or like need something or want something, I wanted to just be in a position to actually be able to help, right? Not have to lean on somebody. And so it's a journey.
Yeah.
We plotting the steps day by day.
That's so. I mean, just that alone is just so rich because you understand the importance of the work and community and being able to support others in this journey, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, when did you first realize that you had this whole I'm a leader. Like, I know how to make things happen kind of leader.
I know how to make things happen. So it's funny, like going back to my childhood, there are little things there that when you reflect, I guess that'll be a theme of this conversation.
Yeah, of course.
You start to see stuff like, man, I always wanted to be Leonardo on the playground, which was the blue Ninja Turtle that got to lead the pack, or being a line leader.
Yes.
Or understanding why my parents fought so hard to keep me and my brother in Boy Scouts and was like, hey, you're going to be a Black Eagle Scout. Right? And so you start to pick up on those things, and they transfer as you get older. You get through college, you lead organizations, and you're like, what type of leader do I want to be? But I think the first time I actually felt like a leader was at Warner Brothers when my peers, you know the crew, Yolanda, Sonia, Nikki, Wendy,
Devin,
Arisha, like they were just like, we had a void in leadership. And the leader that was there had to step down because she took a promotion named Andrea, and they were like, X, this is you. This is you, bro. Like, you got this. You can lead the people to the promised land. And I was like, man, that's a lot of responsibility, but I think I can. Let's try this. As long as I got y'all to help me, like, let's do this.
And
so that's where it started.
You did an excellent job. And we just felt so great having you all as our community partners. And we're still close. I mean, they've changed the dynamic of what the community partnership look like now, but we still have those connections at Warner Brothers. Like when you look around this studio now, you see Warner Brothers signatures because they provided so much support. Some of our sets were donated from Warner Brothers, and it started by you all opening the door for us to have those connections. So, brother, you led well, in my opinion.
Thank you. That means a lot, because it was one of those things where you're in those corporate companies and it's like, hey, we got to give back to the community. And the conversation that we had with each other was just, how can we really make an impact? Not one of those relationships where we just give money, show up once a year, and are like, well, that's our community partner. We wanted to find somebody that was growing, that needed that hands-on, and so that's something that makes me really, really proud.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I know we're just grateful. We're grateful. And you are a numbers guy.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy.
Because your degree is in, you said finance, right?
Yep.
So how do you apply just being a strategic or because you got to be a strategist, I'm assuming also, right? How do you take that and apply it to working with people?
Oof. That's a deep question here. So it's a lot of things. One, I'll start off and say that growing up, I wasn't a numbers guy. I was science and history, and then I also played sports and I did music. So the music and the sports kind of gives me my creative understanding from my friends that write, direct, produce, act, all of those things. But I was scared of numbers, and I, for whatever reason, I'll thank God on this one. For whatever reason, I ran towards what I was fearful of. And when I actually got into did the internship at Turner, I saw that it wasn't so much about the numbers, it was the story that the numbers were telling, right? And so many people are scared of numbers, they miss out on the story. So I picked up on, I can be a facilitator of information because the numbers tell the story.
Yeah.
And specifically in the creative realm, where people like, don't send me an Excel sheet, don't send me, I don't want to see any numbers.
Don't want to see it.
But there lies the story. There lies being able to control a production, being able to shoot at a different location, being able to cast the people that you want to cast.
The flexibility.
You have to understand what the numbers are telling. So that's kind of the pocket that I fell into, and I love it. It's different. I'll say what's been super interesting from a leadership perspective is leading people creatively is different than just leading like a corporation.
Talk about it. How so?
And so I'm going to give a shout out, but I did this program called Color Entertainment, which is a bunch of executives. It touches on diversity, equity, inclusion. We're upcoming executives in the entertainment industry. And they really took the time to teach us like how to collaborate, how to overly communicate, how to, because you're dealing with people's dreams when you talk about creative. It's not just, hey, we're trying to get from point A to point B.
Right.
This person might have been writing this thing or putting this thing together. You don't know how they received this dream.
Right.
And you want to lead them and you want to share information that's going to actually be able to benefit them to help them execute this
to bring that dream to fruition, that story.
And so it becomes a very collaborative process, right? Even me as a numbers guy, when my other co-captains, or at Netflix we call them cross-functional partners, they get the script, and it's like, okay, we got the script, but now what about the location, or what about how can I afford this post-production house that's really good at telling the type of story that I need to tell? Let's figure it out. So it becomes, you start going into problem solving, and you realize just how much the numbers tell and do and strategize. And so I feel lucky that for whatever reason I listened to that gut, and I leaned in because I was scared of the numbers.
Wow.
And I had to not be afraid of the numbers. And I think that really taught me the difference between like what we think fear is and what just being scared is.
Ooh,
right?
That's good.
I'm not going to quote Will Smith on y'all, but
that's good.
y'all know the quote.
Go Will Smith. What do Will Smith have to say about it?
Because Will says something, I'm going to paraphrase, but he says something along the lines of danger is real, but fear is not, right? A lot of times we fear things that we think we're going to be afraid of, or that may hurt us or harm us or not be for our good.
Yes.
But there's a very thin line between what danger might really be for you and what fear is.
I love that. I've never heard that before, but that is a very a distinct difference, because I've often heard people describe fear as evidence of things appearing real.
Yeah.
That's what. But in some cases, things are dangerous.
Yes.
But not necessarily.
But what is fear?
That is, wow.
Yeah. So
thank you, Mr. Will Smith.
Thank you. Yeah,
we like
thank
that.
you, Will. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just something that I think about on a daily basis. Like, talking in front of a group of people or doing something that I wouldn't typically do, is there danger to that?
Yeah.
Or is it just something that I am afraid of?
Right.
And if I'm afraid, why?
Right.
You're digging into that why.
It's the false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That is, I love that. And that's something that I think all leaders have to really understand and embrace the difference, and knowing that. Because I tell people all the time, it's like, were you nervous? Were you afraid? Absolutely. How do you manage? I do it anyway.
You got to do it anyway. And you know what? That comes, taking it way back for you, that comes from having to do Easter speeches at the church and not wanting to get up there, right? And your mom and dad,
like, you better get up there and say that speech.
We've been practicing this speech. You're going to get up there and say this speech, and it's going to be okay. And then you do it, and you're like, man, I did all that fussing and crying for the last month.
And you knew it. You
Just
knew
like
the
that.
speech.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about solos. That's how they used to do me in church. You gonna lead this song? I don't want it. You gonna lead? And everybody into the song. You're like, oh, I did that, didn't I? That was all right, right? But
no, for sure.
I really do like that. Just really navigating towards or moving toward the thing that you think you're afraid of, and letting that, opening yourself up to something that you may not have, considered or that you were afraid of, per se. And it has led you on a path of great success. And I'm sure you're not even done with all the things that are on your plate.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
You're just getting started in this game. So what are some of the aspirations that you have? Because I know working at Netflix, people probably always trying to pitch you a story and trying to figure out how we can get Netflix to produce. And what are some of those dreams of yours?
So for me, I call it my North Star. My North Star is really to be a facilitator of information. Going back to the collaborating with people trying to achieve a dream, I want to be able to help people that I believe in, stories that I believe in, projects that I believe in.
Yeah.
I want to help them actually get executed, because it creatively, it's one thing to have an idea, to take that idea and turn it into a script, right?
Yes.
And then to take that script, pitch it to a studio, and give it the substance and the economics so that financially it makes sense to whatever studio or whatever production company. And actually, I mean, you all know the game of production.
Yes,
that's
we
a
do.
whole nother step. Like, once you've done all of that, to get to the step of being able to, hey, next Monday, we're showing up
Showtime.
here. and we have this many people and we need to film this thing, but we got this much budget, so this is how much time we have.
Right.
All of those moving pieces to get something so that people are entertained and inspired.
Yeah.
That's my North Star, and that actually came from a TV show.
Really?
Which is why I'm in the entertainment industry.
I was going to ask you, how did you choose the entertainment industry?
So, being a little kid, I could only stay up but so late. And I think it was Thursday nights, maybe 8:30, a different world.
Oh,
Watching a different world because I saw so many different types of Black people.
Yes.
So many types of young people being in college. I saw myself. I saw Dwayne Wayne, who was a nerd that still got the girl.
Yep.
That was a mathematics genius.
Absolutely.
In the words of Patti LaBelle, 1600 on the SAT.
Right. Exactly.
But he was still cool with his Jordans and his high top and him and Ron with the parts. You see, that's
right.
Still
I see that part. I
today.
see that part.
It's all a reminder like that. For me, I think that's where it started. And it was like, wow, these are kids at a HBCU. And even though they were fictional characters, that inspired me years and years. Who knew that was going to sit with me like that?
Right.
It was just a TV program that came on during the week, but it really, it inspired me through the creativity of like a Debbie Allen, Susan Fells Hill, like all of those. We can get into the characters, but like,
Don Lewis, Miss Jaleesa, you know, that's our girl. She's one of the biggest supporters of Kids in the Spotlight is Don Lewis.
Don, you wrote that theme song.
Right.
It actually is my alarm with Aretha singing.
Are you serious?
When I get up in the morning. That's how like, that's how
the impact of that show.
Yeah, that's the impact of that show for me. That's my North Star when on the days where you're not feeling it.
Right.
And you got to deal with maybe politics, or you're dealing with just industry changes, economic changes, political changes.
Yeah, we're dealing with that now.
Right. You're like, what am I doing this for?
Right.
And that you got to have that anchor or that North Star of like your why.
Your why.
And A Different World has become my why. I want to be able to give people that. I want to help creative people create that. Something that's going to impact. That was like 30 years ago.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, I just love that because it speaks to the power of this industry.
Yeah.
The power of content, the power of storytelling.
Storytelling, yeah.
Right? It really does change lives.
Yes.
And I can't wait to call Dunn after this interview. I'm like, Dunn, you got to check out this episode, girl.
Yes.
But that is amazing.
Yeah.
How do you, I know that you have, because we are beneficiaries of your give back component. How do you teach other young leaders to have sort of a philanthropic mind and have a community collaborative mind to go back and help other people that are coming up or aspiring to be leaders? How do you help them?
That's a great question. I think for me, that's just something that came so natural because it took so many, you hear the phrase, it takes a village.
Yes.
It took so many people, and my parents really leaned on people in our community because they didn't know those answers. They didn't have those answers. And so when I'm mentoring or trying to lead people, I try to share that. I don't want to like force people or make people have that type of community give back, but what I can do is, I'm trying to think of the leadership style. It's more servant leadership, co-leadership, something like you being a transformational leader, being able to inspire people. I can share my why. I can share my story. I can be transparent and say and explain why that is so important to me. And hopefully it's something that clicks.
That's
right?
good.
Because you can't, in the words of Issa Rae, like it's us. Like we're working across. Like I look at the current people in the industry behind the cameras, we're like a class. And we're all trying to get there together and help people get there together. One person can't do it alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So don't let social media fool you.
Y'all heard that, right? Don't let social media fool you.
It's not just about you. It's about, it's a collective.
It's How do you do it with so many obstacles? Like, because we are constantly faced with obstacles, especially as, I would say, Black leaders. I think, women leaders, and now we're at a state in our country where, a lot of people are really fighting against DEI and not really understanding what DEI really means and the ripple effect of DEI. How do you lead when you're faced with those types of obstacles?
Something that I'm still learning and it was the starting process. I think of a word or I come up with a word and then that word ends up forming and taking meaning. Something that's been really transformational for me has been perspective. And I'm reading this book right now. It's called The Pivot Year.
Okay.
And it's just about, yes, problems arise in life, right? Like you're human. That's just part of the journey. That's part of the process. But how you decide to look at them, how you decide to peel back those layers to figure out what the pivot is or to change your perspective and realize, again, almost just like fear and danger, that this is something that we can navigate. This is something that we can get through. We just maybe need to take a beat, be more strategic, understand what motivation is needed, what communication is needed. There's always other ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta feel the feelings, and then you gotta pivot.
I like that. You
And
gotta feel the feelings.
You gotta feel the
And
feelings
then
because those
pivot.
feelings are real, right?
Right.
You have to feel the feelings, but you can still be optimistic, and I'm naturally an optimistic person, and so that is something I try to bring to the table, specifically in the entertainment industry, because people have been fighting for years to finally get a project seen or heard, and so you think about the battle scars that they come into a room with, and you're telling them like, oh, you have to trust us to help you execute this project, and then I'm the numbers guy. And so I'm telling you to trust me with the bank account.
Right.
And I'm going to consult you. And it's like, I know that you fought 15 years just to get to this point. And so I have to build that trust. I have to understand your perspective. I need to share my perspective. And so it's a learning process, but perspective has just been huge in my leadership and even just in my day-to-day functioning.
Wow.
For sure.
How do you even come up with the numbers for the budget at Netflix? Like, do they give you a certain amount after they green light a project and say, look, we're going to do this project. We're going to throw, say, $1 million towards this project. And then you take it from there. How does that work?
So there's a bunch of different processes. I'm just going to speak in general. So in the industry, something that we do is we look at something and we say, hey, we think this project may be like this movie, right? Where did they shoot? How long did they shoot? What type of cast was involved? All of those things kind of give you some rough estimates for what you could say like, hey, Taiji has this movie. It's basically it's going to kind of be like the Goonies.
Okay.
Well, okay, adjusting for inflation, what would that cost us now if we had the same number of shoot weeks, the same number of crew, cast, like all of those things. And it just becomes this massaging and trying to really make the best project for whatever the cost is. And then you can give a realistic number to the creator or to the studio and say like, hey, I know we wanted to stay in this box, but this is really if we want to make this and we want to make this at a good price to show up on screen and be something that people love, this is what this is probably going to cost. And so it takes a little bit of time. We call that's just part of the development or pre-development process of the script is final. Reading through the script, okay, I see explosions here. That's costly. I see
that part.
I see how many. Okay, we got a lot of extras. I see. Okay, we can't shoot this all on the stage. Shooting on the stage is nice because you can control the environment versus shooting on the street. Takes more people, takes more cuts. Those types of all of those numbers for me. If I'm reading through a script, I'm starting to see those things. Okay, we need a prosthetic. We need a visual effects, makeup artist. Like you can kind of see the pieces coming together and you know how much they'll cost. It's just you develop that gut over time, and I'm still relatively a newbie, but I'm starting to gain that instinct.
Do you hit it all like the bullseye, or do you come in under budget, over budget? Like, what's your track record so far?
I'm gonna say I have a good track record.
Hey!
But it's all up in it because you're working with different people, different things come up during production. Whether it be something personal, like I just to give you an example, like right now, if say you were shooting a film or a television show in LA, and then we have the fires happen, right? And so that takes you down maybe 2 weeks of production. So you have all that crew on, all that cast on, and you're like, I don't want to not pay these people, right? Because then the human factor kicks in, and you're like, they're dealing with friends that have lost homes. They might have lost homes. So that human factor kicks in, and it's like, well, how can I? how can I help my actor that may have lost their house in Eaton or the Palisades? And so all of those things become a thing, and it makes a production way
it's
different
not as
than
cookie
what
cutter as we think it, right?
I probably have been on, in the last 3 years, maybe more than 40 movies, and each one is
so
its
different.
own. It's so different. No matter what the set out budget is,
right.
it's just so different because people are different and circumstances are different.
Absolutely.
But that's why you got to keep learning and growing and sharing.
Yeah, I know one of your leadership styles that you've mentioned, not on this show, but just knowing you, is transparency.
Oh yeah.
And I love that about you.
Yeah.
Talk about why transparency is so important for you.
Transparency is important for me because we live in a knowledge economy, and so you're only as good as the information that you receive. I think specifically about my people, right? Like us Black folks. And a lot of times, and specifically I think about like my parents, and it's like, if only they knew. If only they had the information. If only
I knew now, what if I knew then what I know now?
Right.
Right.
Like if they knew to start that college fund, when me and my brother were born.
That part.
Or if, or how to use equity in their house, or how to, put your kid into what the right trajectory of grade school is, public, private, charter, whatever. Like just knowing the information you can change generations just off of information.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think like the transparency, I realized they were all human beings going on a journey. And so the least that we could do is share the things that we learn
about it.
And be real about.
Absolutely.
And especially in entertainment.
I was sharing with one of my guests on a prior show. We were talking about just knowledge, and I was recalling this scripture that says, my people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. Yeah. And it's like, that's part of our challenge. That's why education is so important. But it's also important for us to share information and be willing to walk alongside someone else to help bring them up and just, kind of help nurture the gifts and the talents that they have and point them in the right direction of leadership. I want to give a shout out to a recent show that you worked on with Shondaland.
Oh, what's that?
That's on Netflix. Yeah. I can't think of it. Oh gosh, why would the name escape me?
Was it the documentary?
The documentary, yes.
Black Barbie.
Black Barbie. That's how do you forget the name Black Barbie, Taiji? But yes, Black Barbie. What was that like for you?
That was amazing because that was a different type of show for me. It was, how can I put this? Like, it checked the box on all the things that not only I wanted to achieve professionally, but it checked the box on the things that I wanted to just invest in personally, like building that personal relationship with the director, because I really saw her vision. Shout out to Xavier Byers. It was something I wish the world had when I was younger, right? When I was on the playground and I had to be the Black Ghostbuster, or thank God we had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which are all races. Understanding what representation means, starting out as kids, and how it continues to evolve as you get. I just wish I wish that content would have been something we watched in school, back in the 80s, 90s. You know what I'm saying? And so that was a privilege because it just checked everything that like was really inside
important
for me.
Important to you, and it was a really good project. I recommend, if you have not seen Black Barbie, to please check it out. I'm assuming it is still on Netflix, right?
It's still on Netflix.
Yeah, because that's a Netflix produced.
Yes.
So please check that out. Who are some of your favorite leaders? Because you're a history guy too, so come on.
I am a history guy. I'm gonna do some name dropping.
All right, do that. Drop them names, because we're gonna tag them all.
And some of these are personal people, some of these are well-known people. I'm going to start with where leadership really took hold for me was when I went to Morehouse. And so at Morehouse, the 9th president of Morehouse, who was president when I was there, his name is Walter Eugene Massey. And he just, such a chill guy. But like his mind is just so sharp. Like he gets it. He gets in the pocket. He knows how to move people. He knows how to inspire people. He knows how to just navigate and get things done to the point of, I remember once I graduated from Morehouse, the recession hit in 2008. and they called him in because he was on random boards from corporations.
Oh, okay.
He led Bank of America through their restructure.
Really?
In that time. And I was like, there's something about him. And then that comes from, again, Morehouse tag, Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, sixth president of Morehouse. He was Dr. King's mentor. You got to mention Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
Another
absolutely.
reason I went to Morehouse. But Dr. Mays, just like, he was transformational, saying something like, not failure, but low aim is a sin.
Ooh.
Or, right?
Goodness.
Like, not failure, but low aim is a sin.
Okay.
Or saying something that I live with daily, which is, be so good that no man living, no man dead, and no man yet to be born can do it better than you.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? Like,
I'm not going to have any more water to sip.
But that stuff sits with you, and that's what my classes were. That's the we call it a crown that we hold above the head of the students. That was every day for 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I carry that in the rooms that I go into. I think about my corporate experience, and I was lucky to be blessed by a man named Lance Thompson, who was one of my VPs at CNN, he taught me strategy. He taught me how to make the numbers speak. He championed me. He put me in the position to be exposed to different projects and different things. And so I saw that leadership growth. I think about my brother, Xavier Byers, he's been leading me my whole life,
Big brother.
right? Big brother Xavier Byers, who's been leading me my whole life, from middle school, high school, college.
Wow. What does your brother do?
So he does finance too. I've kind of followed his footsteps. He went to Morehouse too.
Oh,
so like he's been that example of a leader. Because if he would have tried to lead me, I would have done my own thing.
Right.
But it was just in the ether.
Yeah.
So
leading by example, just doing the work.
Yeah, just doing the work. There women that I have to mention. Of course, you got to mention the Oprah Winfrey's,
of course.
And Because of a Different World, the Debbie Allens, who came in and really turned that show up. There's a woman who's like a clinical psychologist named Brene Brown.
Oh, yeah.
And Brene, I think about her quotes any and every day.
Look, them TED Talks she did.
Right. And so I call it a council. I have a council of people that I look at that, even you, like your transformational leadership.
Oh, I feel like a little ant compared to these giants you talking about, my friend.
don't let her hype you up on that. This is the woman that's been on Kelly Clarkson, Ellen.
You so funny.
But being able to lead people, and it's even through an experience that may not even be your experience, but the way you're able to connect and the way that you're able to, like, I don't know. It's just, I'm gonna call it the Taiji effect. We're gonna coin that for you.
So sweet. Don't make me cry.
No, like it's special. It's a gift, and I think everybody needs a group of people.
Yeah.
People they've met, people they may not have met, right?
Yeah.
Like that just embodies the leadership style that they want, the leaders that they want to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some of mine.
This is so good, and we gotta wrap up. And you know, y'all used to me saying I don't want to wrap up. It's because talking to people like Xavier, and I must say, there's something about Morehouse. I got a chance to visit the campus when we took a group of our youth to Atlanta because their films got accepted in the Bronze Lens Film Festival.
Yeah.
And so, and I, met guys from Morehouse. Y'all got a certain swag. Y'all got that Morehouse swag with you. But, and no disrespect, because my husband graduated from Howard University.
Oh, shout out to HU.
HU and the all right, all of that. So let me just put that there. But when I went on the campus, I was just like, you just feel the presence of greatness there. Like I just looked around at these, Black young men. I'm like, man, this is what it's about. Community, iron sharpening iron. I just felt empowered. So I can only imagine how the young people felt, Yeah. And I'm, anyway, I'm gonna leave it right there. It's just got a thing about it.
Yeah.
It's just got a thing about it. And we went over to Spelman, and the same thing with Spelman right across the street. It was just a spirit of excellence.
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
I'm grateful. It was a life-changing experience, birthed from a different world for me. But you can make it what you want it to be. But like just being able to talk about leadership, right?
Yeah.
Leadership is a study course.
Yes.
Where you can study and you learn about leaders all throughout history, and you learn what type of leader you want to be. It's just kind of it's in the ether. It's in the blood. So.
there you have it. I know y'all want more because I want more. I'm not ready. But thank you so much for coming and just sharing your heart, sharing your journey, just dropping so many valuable nuggets that we all can learn from, especially the power of collaboration and giving back and bringing others along and just modeling what true leadership is like. Look, if you do nothing else, please share this episode. Like, share, subscribe, but definitely share specifically with young people who need to see an Xavier, people who look like them, or just people who have just this air about giving back and imparting wisdom into the next generation of leaders. So until next time, y'all can tell I didn't want to wrap it up. I'm just like, I'm prolonging. My producers are looking at me like, girl, wrap this up. All right, until next time, guys, be great on your leadership journey. Talk soon. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye, until next time.